you to succeed.
Yeah, and Coates is a central figure in the piece because one, he's one of the more significant public intellectuals, particularly in terms of the written word over the last 15 years. People like Ibram Kenny Kent, he couldn't even carry Ta-Nehisi Coates' jockstrap because every Kenny column is basically a repetition of racism, sexism, capitalism, homophobia, transphobia, so on and so on and so forth, and racial equity. That's every Kenny column. But Coates is both the person who said, I'm paraphrasing, they made us a race, we made ourselves a people, right? So he's talking about the impact that slavery and segregation had on sort of forming and fortifying the black community. You had slaves that came from all over Africa, but once they came here, they are what sort of formed or were the genesis of what we now know as Black America, right? So we don't identify as Angolan Americans or Gambian Americans, we're black, or some people say African American. But Coates is also the person that said, to your point, that there's no problem with black people that the complete and total eradication of white supremacy couldn't fix. I cannot think of a less manly statement to make. Ta-Nehisi Coates, for all of his soaring rhetoric, right, and his dexterity with the pen, that is the declaration of a child. What he is doing is putting all agency, all responsibility for the condition of the black community. And he didn't write this in 1922. He wrote this in 2016, 2018. He's putting it all on the shoulders of white people. And what I said, similar to what I said in my Clarence Thomas column, is that for the black left, or the left in general, this is their worldview on race. White people do things, black people have things done to them. White people are always the subject of the sentence, and black people are always the object. We're not even the star of our own autobiography, Jason. It's the white man oppressed us, and now the white man has to come and save us. And you can't build a community with people like that, who have such an aversion to responsibility. And after that, I mentioned the quickest way to get the most radical black activists to turn into a White Lives Matter field organizer is to talk about crime in large cities like Baltimore, St. Louis, Chicago, New York, Philly. Then you get the question. Now, it's the only time they ask this question. They say, well, what about white-on-white crime? Now, that's curious because they never bring up white people when it comes to police shootings. They never bring up white people when it comes to drug overdoses or suicide or any of the other social maladies or social pathologies that plague the quote-unquote white community. But as soon as it comes to talking about violence in our neighborhoods, where black people are 90% of the victims and 90% of the perpetrators, then all of a sudden they turn into Team United Nations, and now they want to care for all the people of the world and sing Kumbaya. And you and I know that that's not real concern. It's a diversionary tactic. It's a dodge. It's the clarion call of people who cannot accept any responsibility for their behavior. So for me, again, it just shows that this is another one of those forces that's pulling the community apart. You can't have a community where people, particularly men, refuse to take responsibility for anything. We are going to be a servant class in the next 30 years. There's going to be a small black elite and middle class, and then you're going to have the large black masses who are disproportionately dependent on the government and who exists in a state of multiple partner fertility, right? Every guy's going to have 3 baby moms, and every woman's going to have 4 baby daddies, and perpetual co-parenting. That's what it's going to look like in another 30 years if we do not get our act together.
I love your point about how unmasculine Ta-Nehisi Coates' words make him appear. But here's what he would say, and people like him would say, it's like, I want the responsibility of fixing white people. And that's why, literally, I would, see, you ain't man enough to do the work of calling out white people and fixing them. And again, that's why, I'm not trying to be abusive to people, but I'm just going to put names on. That's why Emmanuel Acho had a show uncomfortable conversations with a black man where he went out and talked to white people. We love to go out and fix up and play therapists for white people.
Mhm.
That's why Ibram Kennedy X is out collecting money, teaching white people how to not be racist. That's why Ta-Nehisi Coates, all of his books are directed at, written forward to white people on how they can better themselves. We have established a hospital, a doctor's office, staffed by black liberals that go out and their lives are dedicated to improving white people because they think there's some salvation for them in that. And then they turn around and look at me, look at you, look at the people on this show, and say, why y'all sitting around talking to black people about what we should do? It's like, well, don't you think doctors are good, therapists are good, improving yourself? Because again, the conversations I'm trying to have, I'm having with myself also. It's all a reminder of me. Jason, improve you, be responsible for you. You have the power. You can take these difficult principles, apply them to you, your family, your friends, your situation, your existence, and things will get better for you. I don't have a problem with white people. Everybody knows that about me. I don't have, and again, I'm willing to partner with white people. I'm willing to partner with people who are willing to work on themselves. But I'm not sitting around thinking about how I can improve white people because I grew up around black people, my family, most of my friends are black. I want us to embrace things that will improve our life and our existence and our happiness and our salvation here on earth. Coach, Acho, Ibram Kennedy, Roland Martin, their lives are dedicated to improving white people. They should own that. We talked about Roland Martin, I talked about the Root, the Griot. At one point I was doing research for a column, and I counted, I think there were over 150 articles that the Root had that would tag white people. Roland Martin has an entire section on his YouTube channel with Karen videos, right? Rude middle-aged white women who get into verbal disputes with black folk. These are the things that our sort of ethnic media focus on. Now, they will not say a word about the hundreds of school children, toddlers too. Even if you want to look at toddlers, like 5-year-olds through 8-year-olds in these big cities, who end up getting killed in drive-bys on their porches while they're going to school, while they're walking home from school. None of these outlets will talk about that. But if you find a white lady in Sheboygan, wherever state it's in, and she says a crossword to a black lady as they leave the Target parking lot, oh yeah, Roland Martin's gonna find that. He's gonna find it. He's gonna say, look, we haven't come very far. Because in the same way, and I've said this before, that the true north of the feminist movement is the alpha male, right? Is masculinity. The true north of the anti-racist movement is white folks. These people are perpetuating an anti-identity. They have no sort of vision for what the future for black folks could and should look like, that they can speak of affirmatively. It's always what they're against, never what they're for.